What's happening, guys? We got some footage from yesterday's back workout in this video. We did some chins, barbell rows, preacher curls. After that, we are answering your guys' questions that you asked us on our Facebook page. All sorts of questions from bulking to cutting to hypertrophy programs. Check out this video, guys. Please like, share, subscribe to this shit. And maybe your answer will be in the footage later on in this video, guys. A long video, like 20-25 minutes of answering your guys' questions. But hey, if you want some cool answers, check this one out. Peace. Sup, dudes? Nothing spectacular about this workout. We ended up doing like 5 sets of aimed for 8 reps per set on chin-ups just like this. I alternated my grip, went a little narrower, a little wider on certain sets, and even did the neutral grip, which is the grip that's in front of this bar, as you can see, with the parallel bars. Did a couple sets with those. Next we got Chris doing his set. On my set, I was really careful to target the muscles that I want to hit. I'm going for my lower lats specifically. The way Chris is doing it, yeah, this will also hit lats. But mine, I was really trying to get lower lats as much as possible as their point that I want to bring up. So that's why I was leaning back really far. You can tell that I was really leaning back and actually taking my chest, trying to hit my chest to the bar more so than just getting my head above the bar. We got our freaking barbell rows. You can tell we both do this exercise slightly differently. There isn't one way to do this exercise. It's simple as that. The way you do it will dictate what muscle gets hit or what muscles get hit. And that's it, guys. He does his a little higher than I do mine, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, guys. Okay? Just be sure that, pull towards the muscle that you're going for. I'm specifically going for them low lats. That's why I'm pulling it basically to my penor. Just kidding. But actually, yeah, pretty much to my penis. So that's why I'm practically rubbing it along my freaking pants right there. I'm really going for the lower lats, and by the way, I felt after this workout, I was very successful. After that, we did like 3 sets of 8 reps per set on preacher curls. This is just a machine version of it. I actually like this a lot. The constant tension throughout the entire range of motion felt great. I speed up these reps right here. And by the way, guys, this is the last footage of workout. Right after this, we're going directly into answering your guys' questions. So please like, share, comment on this video. If it has helped you, I'm very glad. Thanks a lot, guys, and enjoy all these answers. Peace.
How's everyone doing? We figured we'd make a quick video because tonight I'm leaving Chris Lavado's house, and I've been here for a few days. We've been working on our website, working on some really important content for it. Basically, we just finished, yesterday we finished this one video that's going to pretty much blow minds of millions, and it's a really key video to our website, so that's all I'm going to say. And yeah. How are you doing?
Great. I'm doing great.
Dope.
Having fun. I think it was about time that we made another little video. Maybe a little bit more productive this time. I know we mess around and have some fun sometimes, but we want to help you guys out too.
It's true.
We got a big thread on the
Facebook page.
On the Facebook page, asking tons of questions, so we wanted to touch base on that. I got to go to work in a couple minutes.
Yes, go to work.
So let's see what we can get done.
So, alright, so this is in response to all the questions that you guys asked on the Facebook page. So, if you don't know what we're talking about, it's all just answering questions that you guys gave us. So, first question from Dustin: what's the best way to make a macro diet? I want to get like you, blah blah blah. Have a body like you, not just hardcore ribs. Any books or anything on it? Best way to make your micro diet. Well, first of all, the micro part is as simple as, if you believe in multivitamins, take one and eat at least 2 vegetables per day, at least 2 fruits per day. Some green vegetables, spinach, that sort of stuff, and just throw some color into your life. And that's basically on the micro thing. There's no reason to worry about like hitting certain limits and stuff and certain numbers when you're eating just a good amount of fruits and vegetables. Nothing to kill yourself over or have stress about. What do you think?
True that. I think what he says, to add on to that, it's like, it's another one of those things that people will stress too much is the macros. Macros are important, but it's also a little bit easier to track, so that's fine. But macros is like, if you're focusing on how much vitamin B you have, or unless you have a skin condition or you have some sort of health detriment or something that requires you to keep track of that, it's like make sure you're eating enough fruits and vegetables. Make sure you get your multivitamin. As basic as that,
Yeah.
Other than that, live life. It's all about making it easier on yourself and getting results. I mean, easier doesn't mean worse. It just means you're making life easier.
Yeah.
So
what would you say about the best way to find your macros, basically?
Macros?
Yeah.
It'll be individual to the person. Endless questions surrounding Chris, Matt. What should my macros be? I'm 5'9", I weigh 206 pounds. I'm 5'9", I weigh 140. What should my macros be? We haven't gotten a grasp of what your activity level is, what you, all sorts of factors, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, to say what are my macros won't be sufficient, but somebody's asking, how do you create a macro? Is that what he's asking?
Yeah, he's trying to wonder how he creates his macros.
So it's just going to revolve around finding your caloric needs and then breaking it down into your 3 macros. And also, even those can depend on your needs too. Some people like more fat, some people like less fat, right?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of leeway that a lot of people think that it has to be a certain way. Like you have to cut on a certain percentage of fats or a certain percentage of carbs, but actually you can cut with like a little bit higher fats and a little bit lower carbs than what someone else might recommend and maybe get the same results. But perhaps if you made certain changes, it might affect your performance. So, I mean, as long as you're actually just accomplishing your goals, keeping as much muscle as possible on a cut while losing weight, you're cool, you're golden, and maybe you're taking in more fat than someone else might recommend, and like vice versa. You could be taking in more protein than someone else might recommend, but if you're hitting your goals, it's like, I'm hitting my goals, I don't give a shit what you think.
Exactly. If you want to eat more protein, some people like eating 300 grams and less carbs and whatever.
Yeah.
And I want to touch base real quick on that macro percentages thing. Even I'm guilty of that. When I started, a few years ago, it was like, okay, I'm going to be on a 20%, 40%, 40%, right? Referring to fats, carbs, protein. But it's like, people will ask, okay, what percentage should I be on? That's still a question that's asked. But what you don't realize, and why percentages aren't logical to use, and this is actually what I discussed with Coach Alberto Nunez from Team 3D MJ. Back in the days, it just makes, if you take a step back and look at it from a logical standpoint, let's say you're on 20%, 40%, 40%, and you need to make an adjustment and drop your carbs by 10 grams. All right, so that 40% of carbs just turned into 39.16%, and then it just threw the rest of the percentages off in order to make. So it's like, yeah, maybe once you start, those percentages can look pretty, but then after that, it's not going to be a solid number, and there's no magical percentage that's going to work optimally for anybody. If anything, you're going to need to manipulate things by the gram, like I mentioned, and then reach where you need to be. So don't get stuck on there's one magical solution in terms of percentages and things like that. There's different aspects for different people.
I think also the macro diet that works for you is going to be, as weird as it sounds, the fucking macro numbers that work for you. So it doesn't matter if you're on like freaking 100 grams of fat, 100 grams of carbs, 100 grams of protein. If that's not doing what you want it to do, that's not the numbers for you, and you need to adjust it accordingly. So the only real way to know what numbers are doing what to you is to actually test it out and see what happens with you, with your body weight, with your performance, with how you feel hormonally, with how you feel psychologically. There's a lot of factors into constantly adjusting your macro diet, and that's really what it's all about, going towards your goals. So,
given that obviously your protein and your fat intake is at a minimum of where it needs to be, then your carbs are the least essential. But once you got that in line, what Matt said is super important. There's so many factors to it. There's no 100% right or wrong. I know that kind of leaves it up in the air a little bit, but that's just the truth, And once you learn to find that balance, it's going to make life easier rather than harder. So, what's next?
Michael wants us to do a review on bodybuilding specific programs, comparing them with each other like fat. I think we have enough time to do that whole thing, but
that'll be rough. Yeah.
You'll notice that a lot of these bodybuilding specific programs, they simply incorporate the bodybuilding principles, and it's as simple as that. You have your training frequency, and many times you might be training more than once per week per body part. As a natural, that's a little more optimal for most people. For some people, it can't fit their schedule, and that's impossible. In other words, you can't do that. So sometimes a higher training frequency in a lot of these programs, you get certain volume protocols, certain loads, but as long as you're working out at a load that's heavy enough, anything 60% 1 rep max and above, that's enough to build some strength, build some muscle, as long as you're training at a certain level of load, which is basically the percentage of your 1 rep max.
And I think one thing I could say is that 90 to 95% of anybody who's viewing this video is probably at a stage where they can benefit from any of these structured programs, especially if they haven't done any. So it's like, I haven't even done PHAT, Lane Norton's power hypertrophy program. I haven't done Smolov, Shaiko. I haven't done a lot of these programs. I've done Westside Barbell was my last one. Matt's doing 531, right? Changing it up a little bit now, but at the end of the day, you're going to benefit. Any sort of structure on one of these, I mean, you'd be surprised what structure will do to your progress. You might see gains, you might see improvements if you're training normally or if you're doing like a normal split. But once you start organizing and doing things numerically with a program, it almost forces progress onto you at a rate that you probably wouldn't push yourself to do. So I recommend it if you guys haven't tried it, even though we're not comparing programs, say PHAT versus FST7 or something. But what I can say is you'll probably benefit if things are numerical. If you have certain goals you have to hit by certain times. I mean, it'll blow you away. So try it out.
Yeah, as long as you're training really intense and you have goals per workout, per week, month, etc., you should be progressing towards those big goals. So it's pretty much that. I mean, like, I feel like I can freaking make progress on any damn program. And like, freaking time is the most anabolic thing for me. Time as a natural. It's like, I mean, 1 year, that's anabolic in my mind. It's like, that's muscle building. So I'm going to go forward, guys, and find some other questions. Posing tutorial, we'll get to that pretty soon. Pickup stories, maybe later. What's your approach to pre-contest and just general appearance shaving? I'm Filipino and white. I don't really get too much hair, just a little bit. I usually it's just preference. If I don't like chest hair, I cut my chest hair. If I don't want a mustache, I cut it. When it comes to pre-contest, I personally recommend using an electric shaver instead of actually shaving yourself. It can dry out your skin if you constantly are shaving yourself with a razor shaver. Even if you have some really nice shaving cream, it can dry yourself. You can cut yourself. It's not a huge deal. I've cut myself thousands of times, but compared to an electric shaver, it's just a lot less hassle. Or a lot more hassle than an electric shaver. So, what do you think about pre-contest shaving?
Pre-contest, I mean, you got to shave to be on stage if you're going to be competing. Approach I took was, even if you're going to use the razor, it's smart to use the electric razor first.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you want it as short as possible so then it comes off easy. Yeah. For me, in non-pre-contest, like just every day, upper body is just pretty hairless.
Me too.
So I mean, in general. Lower body, I got a lot of leg hair, and I actually prefer to shave it. I just use the electric razor or shaver, and also because it helps me see my own progress. As funny as that sounds, or as crazy as that might sound, it's like people call it gay all the time or whatever, but it's like I'm past that. It's like I want to see my progress. I want to see where I'm going with it, and at the end of the day, it's more comfortable. Hair kind of bugs me, so.
How can I get traps that pop instead of just really big ones? Meaning they actually come up off your back. Zach, maybe you're wondering about how you flex them in a way that make them come off your back, because
I see what you're saying.
You don't really you don't train your traps a certain way, and then all of a sudden they fucking start lifting off of your spine or off your freaking back.
I think he's referring to, like, for example, like a most muscular on stage, like a crab most muscular. Yeah. Maybe we'll put a picture of that on video or something. Yeah, where the traps actually pop out.
It's just you have to learn how to flex it.
You just have to learn how to do it, and then it'll just switch from not doing it to just popping over. So
just practice it. Take your shoulders, pull them down and back, and mind muscle connection on your motherfucking traps.
Yeah.
And you figure it out over time. Best exercise for outer chest.
Man.
BRB.
Outer. I mean,
it's all the same. It's all the same. Just look at it as the same thing. The chest, Just split. The only way you should split up the chest is by upper and lower. You know, this is the lower chest, and this is the upper chest, and that's it. Disregard inside, outside. It's nothing to actually think about, especially if it's going to be a detriment to you.
Straight up, dude. Incline movement, flat movement.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's about it. I mean, I'll throw some flies in there just because sometimes. I know people trip about the pump a lot and feeling it in certain ways and whatever. And I like that feeling too, but I'm not gonna lie, it's not something to focus on if you're actually focusing on your gains and your builds and building your muscle. And
the best exercise to work your outer chest is gonna be your favorite exercise to work out your outer chest. Your favorite one that you can be consistent, that you're constantly progressively overloading it. That's pretty much it. Like whatever one's your favorite, whatever multiple exercises are your favorite, go and do them. I mean, just don't do just flies or just push-ups. I mean, do some, you know, incline barbell, dumbbell, flat dumbbell, barbell, decline dumbbell, barbell, and dips. Do a video on sodium loading and losing water. We don't even need to do a video on that. We're just going to say, as a natural, disregard.
Just keep your sodium levels consistent. Eat whatever you're eating on a regular basis. And as long as there's not crazy fluctuations, it doesn't matter.
Losing water for a show. All right. Huge myth is the losing water for a show. We're just going to say, as naturals, we do not do that. I don't know what other people do, but in the world of natural bodybuilding, we've seen enough that we know that it just doesn't happen. You're not losing water for a show. BRB, it doesn't happen.
I think, all right. People say, dude, I was holding water on stage. Dude, look, I had a layer of water on stage. Especially, even naturals will say this.
It's a solid pop out.
No, you didn't give yourself enough time to diet, and you're holding fat. You're not holding water. And what people don't understand is, even if you use, you know, diuretics, you're trying to cut water. There's an extracellular and intracellular level of water that you're gonna have, and they have a specific ratio they stay at. So if you take water from the extracellular part of your skin, of your body, it's gonna take it also from the inside. Meaning, yeah, you might have that more dry look, but you're also gonna deflate, and you're not gonna have that water inside you that's gonna help you pop those muscles.
Look good on stage.
Look good on stage.
You
right?
won't look full.
Overall, it's like you don't even want to cut water. It's just not a smart thing to do. You actually want to use it to your advantage.
When naturals cut water, they end up looking flat. They don't look full. They look tiny on stage.
Tell them what we took before stage, Matt.
We drank water all throughout the day. We probably ended up with like a gallon or two for that day. We took 3 grams of salt.
Straight up salt, table salt. It's like,
we took table salt before hopping on.
So that kind of tells you
vascularity.
Like, cut water, no salt, not really.
Just so everyone knows, the whole cutting water and sodium thing is perpetuated by like the way the media interviews, you know, huge bodybuilders. Of the supplements are questionable. We'll just say. I mean, naturals, believe us, don't. The successful naturals don't worry about sodium loading and water manipulation. It's dangerous. Don't need to do it. And if you're asking this question, just for the rest of your life, forget about it. Forget about sodium loading. Forget about water loading for shows. If anyone ever asks you, that's what you need to tell other people. So we need to spread good information, you know, healthy information.
Yes, please.
And just totally get rid of the old bullshit that puts people in the hospitals, makes them pass out on stage. It's happened. I've seen it in YouTube videos. People just pass out on stage. It's like, damn, that's hella scary. So, step-by-step guide for cutting. What is most optimal to do cardio? What type of cardio? Is it good, bad to do cardio after weight training on empty stomach? Okay, beyond the empty stomach thing, we can tell you right now, there's no difference if you're going to do your low-intensity cardio on empty stomach or not. High-intensity cardio on empty stomach may lead to bad performance. High-intensity cardio has more of like a metabolic effect than low-intensity cardio. Both of them are going to, you know, burn calories, and it really does matter how much calories you're burning when you're doing your low-intensity. And what's the most optimal? When is it the most optimal to do cardio? It doesn't necessarily matter, though. The metabolic effect of having it separate from your training session will be there. There's going to be a slight metabolic effect, especially when you're doing high intensity separate from your training. So I recommend doing your high intensity cardio separate from your training sessions. what type of cardio. It's up to you. Like Lane Norton has said many times that high intensity has a metabolic effect, and compared to low intensity, which is simply more of like an energy balance game. That's all low intensity cardio is. It's just like increasing your energy spent, and it's almost like the same thing as you could just lower your intake of food. And that's like low intensity, but high intensity has a slightly different effect, just slightly. It's not a huge difference. In the end, it comes down to your diet and simply consistently losing body fat on a regular basis. Anything I missed?
Pretty cool there.
If I have a 500 calorie deficit to cut, can I do cardio for 200 calories and then eat for a 300 deficit to make 500? I already know what to say to this. Okay, so people constantly worry about the number of calories that their body is expending, and whereas that's cool to judge in the beginning to get you on those starting numbers for your macros, like, okay, I hypothesize that I'll be at a 500 deficit if I'm doing cardio 2 times a week at 400 calories per session, and I'm eating 50 grams of fat, 250 carb, 200 protein. If, say, those are your beginning numbers, there's really no reason beyond that point to actually worry about what deficit you're in. Because from that point, you'll have something even more valuable. The scale. Exactly. The freaking scale and the mirror. So from there on, you'll have the scale and the mirror to tell you whether you need to, and of course how you feel. It matters how you feel. So you use the scale and the mirror as your tools to tell you, okay, I need to, lower my carbs here, increase the carbs in my refeed, etc. So from the beginning, okay, it's cool to decide your numbers to create what sort of deficit you want to be on. But from then on, your results, which are how much weight you're losing, how much body fat in the mirror you're losing, will dictate what you do from then on, if that makes sense. Hopefully that answers your question, Steven.
It should. Solid. What was the next one?
How do you combine strength training with hypertrophy training?
Which one? You do both the same workout.
Domination wrestling vids.
Domination wrestling, you down?
I'm down. Fuck it.
Fuck it.
Oh, here we go. I know Alberto Nunez is going to try to put 2 pounds in the next year. Is he close to his genetic potential? Is he putting on 8 pounds of fat with that? 10, 20?
Alright, well, first of all, Alberto doesn't even lift.
Yeah, keep talking.
And, shit, I gotta get out of here in a minute.
Oh,
yeah. Is he close to his genetic potential? Is he closer than when he started? Hell yeah, he is.
Closer when he started. What is close?
I mean, he's a respectable pro. His conditioning is world class, if not one of the best in existence. And I mean, the amount of muscle that he has is up there. So it's like he can add on. He can still add on some size. He can still. I mean, he still has some spots where he can, but. He's close. He's close. I mean, to say he's gonna put on 5 more pounds of muscle, that's almost like, I mean,
per year?
No. Like just even in general. Like
that's
even probably
in general?
like a lifetime thing. You know what I mean?
I think he's just gonna constantly be adding every off season of 2 to 3 years per off season. He's just gonna aim to gain as much muscle as possible.
Right. It'll start decreasing. That's for everybody. So, I mean, even 2 pounds of muscle at his level is like.
It's great. It's incredible.
It's on. Yeah. That's rare. So we'll see if it happens.
Yeah.
But. So what's next?
Is he putting on 8 pounds of fat with that?
No. Well,
the way we say 2 pounds of fat of 2 pounds of muscle.
You should differentiate.
Okay, so this doesn't actually mean that he's putting on only 2 pounds of muscle from the day he steps off the stage, because what's happening is he's actually putting on a ton of muscle, a little bit of fat throughout the year, and as you're dieting down, you actually lose a little bit of muscle and of course most of the fat. So it's like, it's all about at the end stage. So it's 2 pounds of muscle difference between him on stage here and him on stage here. That's all it is. Because he might have actually gained between, from the stage to off season, many pounds of muscle,
I think it was, right now he's about 20 over.
Yeah.
Or like 21 over. But that's the confusion, is that you guys haven't even heard Matt say in the video, so I'm like, all right, next year I want to weigh 4 pounds more, 5 pounds more than I weighed last time, or 3 pounds more, or something. And then now you look at him like, dude, what the hell, Matt? You're like 30 pounds over stage weight, or whatever. 25
you
pounds
figure
over
that I
weight.
dropped down to 160 pounds and be enormous. But
so what he meant to say was, don't confuse that with he's only going to gain 3 to 4 pounds in an entire year. What he meant to say was by the next time he steps on stage, he plans to be 2 to 3 pounds heavier. Because of the amount of muscle he's been able to add in the entire offseason on top of all that fat that he added, right? Or despite the fat that he added with it. So when he cuts down, he's hoping that the next stage appearance is that much heavier, which is a small percentage, especially for natural athletes. You feel like you're going to put on 10 pounds in a year? I mean, good luck unless you literally just started lifting. You know, it's not going to happen. So,
how to have a bulk like yours, for example, been able to gain weight, minimum fat gain with combinations? It's as simple as this. It's as simple as like constantly
checking your weight, dude.
Checking your weight. Like at least in the beginning, you constantly check your weight. The question was how to have a bulk that's slow. And believe us, our bulks are horrible compared to say Alberto's, you know, Jeff Albert's, their bulks. Like they have gained less than half of us, half as we have probably. Although Alberto recently kind of.
He got out there. I mean,
he went south in the last couple weeks. But I mean,
still looking good though.
You know,
I think. It's just gonna be there's no rocket science to it. It's like, dude, what kind of methods do I need to take to stay lean? It's just put yourself in a really small surplus and don't just go overboard and just all you can eat every single day. You know, I mean, you'll see me and Matt go out to eat all the time. We enjoy ourselves, but what you guys don't see is that we limit the rest of the day's intake just to do that and enjoy ourselves. It's not just we ate the whole day's worth of food and then just went out and said, fuck it, and let's go eat whatever we want.
So Edgar, if you want to do this bulk right, it isn't necessarily all about worrying what amount of calorie surplus you're at, because the scale is going to tell you what calorie surplus you're at. If you're gaining more than a pound a week, then in my book, that's too much.
Slow it down.
Okay? If you're gaining half a pound a week, in my book, you might even want to slow that down. Okay? You might even want to be careful to lower some sort of number to gain even less than half a pound per week if you wanted to take it nice and slow like us. Otherwise, if you want to gain a pound a week, that's your thing, If you want to get fat as hell, that's your thing.
And same thing, it's not to say stay super ridiculously shredded while you're, slow bulking. There's also another, there's a psychological aspect to making gains, improvements in the off season. If you're a competitor, if not, even while you're bulking, it's like your performance needs to be up there more than ever. You need to take advantage of those strength gains and hit it hard at the gym. You need energy, you need food. So it'll be independent to the person. But don't go overboard. I mean, be smart with it, be logical, but also live. Live your life.
Yeah, live your life. Yeah, just be careful. He's got a balance. So
maybe Matt will finish off some questions or something. Yeah. If not, we'll be back at it a little later.
Yeah. Good shit, guys.
Hey, quit being a little bitch! Ogus cake!
Yeah, motherfucker!